This video is going to address the topic I often feel lonely or isolated and the possible responses to that statement. Hi, I'm Dr. Brent Van Hook, Director of Shepherd's Fold Ministries. The relevance of this topic relates to an extensive research project that we commissioned in 2019, in which we sought to understand the predictors of well being among retirement age preachers and missionaries from over 12 denominations. We found, since that study, that this study itself correlates well to all believers of all ages who want to have a lifelong kingdom impact, and well being is a part of that. As we look at this question, let me talk about it in terms of what we learned through the research. I often feel lonely or isolated is the statement, and here are the possible answers. 6% chose the answer strongly agree. 24% said somewhat agree. 3% weren't sure. 18% said somewhat disagree. 49% chose strongly disagree. Why is that important? It's important because of the differences in well being. Early on in the research project, there were several questions that were raised that helped the researchers understand and come to a numerical value for the overall well being of every single participant. And therefore, there was a score. We knew how each person was doing overall, and they had it in a numerical score. Well, what I've done is I've taken a traffic light and established 15 levels, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in each color that represent the numerical values. And in this way, it puts a graphic, put it in graphic form to help understand the overall well-being. Then, what the statisticians did was for everyone who said they strongly agree with the statement they often feel lonely or isolated, they averaged, everyone who said that, they averaged their well being, and the average score was the absolute worst possible. Red light, alert, alert. There is a problem here. Something needs to stop, and we need to deal with the issue before we go any further. On down the list, somewhat agree their average well being was still in the red. Things are not good. Not sure or somewhat disagree, both of those were in the yield yellow level. And then those who strongly disagree, as a matter of fact, they had the very best rating possible. So, what do we do with topics like that? What do we do with understanding of this? I think we can begin with a few observations. The first is this: for every change in answer, there seems to be a fairly strong change in overall well being. In other words, if loneliness or isolation is an ongoing issue in someone's life, the more we work on it, the more it impacts every area of our life, and we find an overall well being that gets stronger and stronger. So you'll notice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the scale of 1 to 15, or scale up to 15, improvement from just strongly agree to somewhat agree. So if someone is in this category, they'll find big improvement by working on it. Same here to move another 5 or so. If you can move to somewhat disagree and change the agreement of this statement to disagree. And then finally, a movement from somewhat disagreeing to strongly disagree. The numbers here actually were the very best that we had in the whole project. And it just so happens that these were the very worst. So you see that the importance of addressing the issue of loneliness or isolation, and also the importance of improving whatever there may be in order to find a stronger uh, understanding of this topic and therefore stronger well being. We at Shepherd's Fold believe a couple statements, and let me bring them to you. The first is this: all of us, every one of us, has something to share. Secondly, we all have something to learn. So here's how that applies to the research and this one question here. If you strongly disagree with being often feeling lonely or isolated, we would call this a strength of yours. And my request to you would be to reflect on what is it that helps you to not feel often lonely or isolated. And what are the habits that you have in your life that help you feel that way. And then, since this is a strength, we're going to ask you to share that. If you'll share that with me and email me at brent@shepherdsfoldministries.com. The second statement is that we all have something to learn. And unless our answer was strongly disagree, there is room for improvement. If we could, again, just move one level, I believe that addressing this issue, that we will see an improvement in our overall well-being. So how can we do that? And what's our encouragement there? One is that if we could, this is one of the topics we have coming out of our research project. We want to say to people, if you could address one issue and know that it would make a huge difference in your life, would you be willing to address that issue through humility and a willingness to learn, to grow in one area, and watch something great happen in your life? So, well, this is the one issue. If there's room for improvement for you, we would encourage you to take a good, strong look at that. So, we're going to offer a first step, something that takes half an hour or less to do. And let me speak to those of you who are clergy, and then those of you who are not. And by clergy, I mean full-time church work or some sort of ordained church work. If you're in that kind of setting, and I would think especially for retired ministers, that there's the feeling like I don't want to get in the way of the new pastor who was in at the church where I was before. Some of the friendships that I had are no longer there, and there's the temptation to turn in and to not be as well connected as in the past. Secondly, though, I want to say to those of you who are not considered clergy, would not consider yourself ordained ministers, that any opportunity you have to reach out to a pastor, missionary, goes a long, long way. So, but all of us need to improve in this area. How can we do that? Well, I'm going to offer this first step. Perhaps there are many ways, but I'm just going to offer this first step today. So, as we take a look at that, uh, I'm going to offer two suggestions. The first is this: we have a sermon that's available for you. It's about 20 minutes long, and it talks about godly friendships. And I believe that it could be used by God to help bring about a sense of encouragement for you about the value of friendships and how we can be a friend and how we can watch God help make more friends and bring more friends into our lives. So there's a sermon that's available there. And then also we have a variety of articles that are available for developing friendships and what goes into that. We as kids, there's a sense that we could almost do that in autopilot. We just automatically made friends, but then as our social status changed, our family structure changed, we may have found that it takes effort and we may have lost some of the innate understandings that we may have had in younger years. Well, these articles are a review of some of the ways in which we can reach out and make friends. And I want to say, too, that if loneliness or isolation is an issue in our lives in any kind of way, such that there is need for improvement, to not wait around for someone else to approach us. Well, they never call, they never reach out. Well, this can be an opportunity for us to reach out because odds are, you can see them right here, that someone needs that as well. We can be a blessing as well as receive blessings through God, through new friends. So may the Lord bless you as we reach out. Remember, let us know if this is a strength of yours, some of the ways in which you have found value in this, and if this is an area of improvement, an opportunity for improvement, to take the first step in improving this. And as that happens, may your results be like our research, in which we find the overall well being of your life improves as a result of that.